third method of optimizing your generative AI model is tuning. As I briefly mentioned previously, tuning works by adding your own training dataset on top of Google's pre-trained model. You are basically telling Google, use the immense power of your model, but train its output on the specific data I provided. In brief, you are personalizing the model to your specific use case, being able to innovate and gain competitive advantages and value super quick, without the need for developers, long time cycles, or complications. Just think about it. This is huge, guys. You simply don't need to build your own model. And as we briefly mentioned earlier, most companies would never be able to do so anyway. Just add your dataset, click some buttons, and you're done. Add the other methods mentioned earlier, like prompting, providing examples, and fine-tuning via parameters, and suddenly you have a state-of-art applications tuned to your own use case with no coding required. So, what kind of data can you provide Google with for tuning your model? Well, it really does depend on the type of model you intend to tune. Google allows for tuning models for text chat, text generation, text embeddings, code chat, and code generation. Hence, your dataset must be relevant to the type of model and inputs and outputs you're looking to tune. The only part you may find complicated, which isn't really at all complicated, is Google's requirements of your dataset being formatted as a JSON file with minimum 500 to 1000 examples. Basically, Google is looking for a dataset with 500 plus examples, including two simple pieces of information: examples of input and examples of outputs. Let's quickly discuss a simple example of how a line in your JSON file would look like. You basically have an example of an input and an example of an output, and you need minimum 500 of it to allow the model to learn and tune it to your specific needs. As another example, see below. At first sight, you may get freaked out to see all of those lines of text, but at a closer look, you realize that in fact the same rule applies. We have a more complex input prompt and a simple output, in this case 64. Nothing scary really. It just shows the flexibility of the data you can provide in your JSON file. And of course, if your data is in a, let's say, Excel document, transforming it to a JSON format is super simple. Just type Excel to JSON in Google and you'll get a huge number of free tools. It's really that easy. Okay, let's stop here and we'll continue in the next session. Thank you for watching.